Welcome to The Explainer. So let's talk about your brain. Every single night, it turns into this surrealist author. It scripts these totally bizarre, vivid stories that we call dreams.
I mean, come on, we've all had a dream like that, right? Maybe not exactly that, naked on a bus after a flight, but something that felt so real. And then when you wake up, you're just like, what was that? These are the wild stories our minds cook up while we're asleep.
So how does your brain do it? How does it invent these incredibly surreal narratives night after night? It feels like it's just random noise, total chaos. But what if it's not? What if there's actually a method to the madness? A kind of hidden logic the brain uses to piece together these fictions from all the fragments of our lives.
All right, so to unpack all this, we've got a roadmap. First, we're going to look at the brain as this bizarre storyteller. Then we'll talk about a 5-word key that kind of unlocks the whole thing. We'll get into what I'm calling anchors and floating meanings, basically the brain's toolbox. We'll look at the dreamer's mental map, compare waking versus dreaming logic, and then finally we'll ask, what's the point of all this surrealism?
Okay, first up, the brain's bizarre storyteller. Let's just dive right in. The best way to think about dream creation is to see it as your brain trying to solve a puzzle. A really strange puzzle where it has to build a story.
So what your brain is really doing when it dreams is it's trying to find connections. It's like a weird kind of matchmaker. It takes all these totally unconnected things, a memory from yesterday, a feeling you had 10 years ago, an image you saw for a split second, and it tries to find some kind of shared feature, some common thread to weave them all together. It's not about what makes logical sense, but about what feels connected.
So how do we wrap our heads around this process? Well, it turns out the key to understanding it comes from a really unlikely place, a simple, creative writing exercise. And this exercise, it's a fantastic mirror for what our brain is doing when we dream.
Okay, so picture this. I give you 5 totally random words. Let's say passport, shadow, river, key, and laughter. Now your job is to write a short, meaningful story that links them all. To do that, you can't just stick to their boring dictionary definitions, right? You've got to play with their other meanings, their emotional weight, their symbolism. That creative leap? That's exactly what your brain is up to every single night.
So what are the words that our brain is actually using to write these dream stories?
Well, it seems like they fall into 2 main buckets. First up, you've got what are called consolidated meanings. Now think of these as the big, heavy anchors in your mind. They're your core memories, your solid concepts, like your own name, the idea of home, the fact that fire is hot. They're super stable, totally reliable. They're basically the skeleton that holds your waking thoughts together.
And then, on the other hand, you have these residual or floating meanings. If the others are anchors, these are like feathers blowing in the wind. We're talking about fleeting thoughts, little bits of sensory info, emotional echoes from your day. They're not tied down to anything. They're super mobile and can just drift around and attach to different ideas.
And that's really the perfect way to picture it, right? You've got these 2 different toolkits. The anchors give you stability and logical structure. You absolutely need that for your day-to-day life. But the feathers, those floating meanings, that's where the magic of dreams comes from. They enable all those creative, bizarre, totally unexpected links.
Okay, so now we have these anchors and feathers, but where does the brain keep them? This is where it gets really cool. Scientists have actually figured out a way to map where these different kinds of memories live inside our mental space.
They use a framework that looks something like this. So on the up and down axis, you've got stability. Unstable stuff at the bottom, really stable stuff at the top. And then across the bottom, you have how densely connected that memory is. So up there in the top right, that's where your high-density, super stable memories live. Those are your anchors. And then all the way down in the bottom left, that's the opposite. The sparse, unstable fragments, those are your feathers.
Now, when you're awake, your brain is, let's say, a pretty cautious writer. It sticks almost entirely to that top right quadrant. It's using all the reliable, well-known facts and ideas to build thoughts that make logical sense. That's how you can do things like, follow a recipe or fill out your tax forms.
But the second you fall asleep, bam, all the fences come down. The dreaming brain turns into this bold, totally experimental poet. It starts pulling material from all 4 quadrants of the map. It's mixing those stable anchors with the volatile feathers. And that right there, that's where the weirdness and the magic happens. A memory from when you were a kid can suddenly get linked to a feeling you had yesterday, and boom, you've got something completely new.
So this huge difference in which parts of the map the brain uses, it completely changes the rules of the game, the rules of storytelling.
And you can see just how different those rules are.
During the day, when you're awake, your brain is all about logic. It prioritizes those solid anchor memories and what they literally mean. That's how you get a nice, structured story. But in a dream, the whole process is driven by emotion. It grabs onto those feather memories and explores all their symbolic, secondary meanings. The result isn't a logical story. It's a stream of surreal images that are connected emotionally, not logically.
Okay, so this brings us to the biggest question of all. Why? Why does our brain do this every single night? Why does it just ditch logic and become this surrealist artist? Is it just some kind of system error?
Well, the answer is pretty incredible. This surrealism, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's actually a profoundly powerful one. This process lets your brain do amazing things. It can link a problem you're having right now with something that happened 20 years ago to help you process it. It smashes together different areas of your knowledge, which is why so many creative breakthroughs and brilliant ideas have literally come from dreams. It's like a nightly therapy session and a creative workshop all rolled into one.
So think about this tonight. If your dreams are your brain's creative engine, what problem is it trying to solve for you? The next time you wake up from some totally bizarre dream, instead of just brushing it off as nonsense, maybe take a second. Remember, it's your mind's own work of art, a story built just for you from the anchors and feathers of your life. And who knows, it might just be trying to tell you something really important.